Welcome back to another explainer. So today we're exploring a premise that is honestly deeply unsettling. Right now, somewhere in your head, there's a memory you are completely 100% sure actually happened. You can see it in your mind's eye, you can feel it. Maybe it's a specific birthday party, or maybe it's the day you broke your arm as a kid. But here's the really uncomfortable part. There is a very real chance it never happened. Not the way you remember it, and maybe not at all.
Okay, let's dive right into this. When we ask, is your memory real? The absolute strangest part of the answer is that your brain would defend a fabricated memory just as hard as it would defend a real one. Why? Because to your brain, there is absolutely no difference between a real memory and fake one. I mean, they feel exactly the same.
Section 1. Planting Fake Memories. Back in the early 1990s, a psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus handed people booklets that had 3 real childhood memories in them and 1 completely fake one. The fake one was this whole story about getting lost in a shopping mall around age 5, crying, and eventually being rescued by an elderly stranger. To be clear, it never happened to any of these people. But shockingly, about 25%, so 1 in 4 participants, didn't just believe the fake story, they fully internalized it. They actively built on it, literally adding vivid, fabricated details that Loftus never even gave them. They'd recall exactly what the rescuing stranger was wearing, or exactly what their panicked mother said when they were finally found. One person even argued with the researchers afterward, just completely refusing to believe the memory was fake. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, that was probably just a fluke, 30. For over 30 years, psychologists have repeated versions of this exact same experiment, and the numbers stay roughly the same. Something like a third to a half of people will internalize an entirely false memory just by being told it happened and being asked to imagine it. So, Loftus and her colleagues decided to push this even further. What if they tried to plant a memory that wasn't just unlikely, but physically impossible? To pull this off, researchers showed participants a fake advertisement featuring guests at Disneyland meeting Bugs Bunny, and then casually asked them about their own past trips to Disney parks. And this just brilliantly illustrates our brain's reconstructive abilities. People confidently recalled shaking his hand, they remembered him being furry, and one person even vividly saw him holding a carrot. But here's the dramatic irony, right? Bugs Bunny is a Warner Brothers character. He has never been allowed inside Disneyland. These highly detailed memories were literally impossible, built out of nothing but a mere suggestion. Section 2. The Power of One Word. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that while we know this works with elaborate stories and fake odds, this phenomenon can actually happen in your everyday life with the alteration of a single word. In one of her earlier studies, Loftus had participants watch video footage of a car crash. Half the room was asked how fast the cars were going when they hit each other. The other half were asked how fast they were going when they smashed into each other. Same exact video, just one single word changed. The result is totally stunning. The smashed group didn't just estimate that the cars were going at higher speeds. A week later, they were asked if they remembered seeing broken glass at the scene. There was absolutely no broken glass in the video. 0. Yet the smashed group falsely remembered seeing it. One single word, planted after the event, completely rewrote what they believed they saw with their own 2 eyes. And that brings us to an absolutely crucial concept, the misinformation effect. This happens when misleading information incorporated after an event actually rewrites the original memory. It's the exact reason why eyewitness testimony, which courts have relied on for literally centuries, is now considered one of the least reliable forms of legal evidence in the entire system. Section 3. Rewiring the brain. So why doesn't the brain just, know the difference? The answer lies in a little seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus, which basically acts as our brain's memory stitcher. Most people think memory is like a read-only video file, but it's actually more like a Word document. This process is called reconsolidation. Basically, every time you recall a memory, your brain pulls it out of storage and it becomes temporarily unstable and completely editable. During this little window, new suggestions, leading questions, or honestly just your own imagination can slip right in. Then your brain hits save again, perfectly blending the original facts with the new suggestions into one totally seamless memory. To show you just how physical and mechanical this memory rewriting process really is, we have to look at a groundbreaking 2013 experiment conducted by researchers at MIT. So here's how it worked. First, the researchers tagged the exact brain cells that were active while a mouse formed a memory of a totally safe room. Second, they moved the mouse to a completely different room. Third, using light delivered directly into the brain, they reactivated those original safe room cells while simultaneously giving the mouse a mild shock. The result? The mouse became terrified of the first room, a room where absolutely nothing bad had ever happened. They basically used a wire plugged straight into the memory machinery to rewrite the mouse's past.
Now, take a breath, because I know that sounds kind of scary, but false memories are a feature, not a glitch. If it can be done so directly in a mouse's brain, it tells us that this isn't some weird psychological trick. False memories are just a natural byproduct of a biological system doing exactly what it evolved to do.
Section 4. The Mandela Effect.
This biological feature is actually the real explanation behind a massive cultural phenomenon you've probably experienced yourself, the Mandela Effect. Thousands of people confidently remember the Monopoly mascot wearing a monocle that he'd never, ever had. Or they remember a famous children's book series being spelled differently. Or they vividly recall movies that were literally never made. These people aren't lying. They aren't incredibly gullible either. Their hippocampi just did their jobs flawlessly, blending plausible details into existing memories and resaving them as smooth, highly confident recollections.
And this brings us to a deeply unsettling truth. Confidence and accuracy are almost completely unrelated. People who hold a completely fabricated memory can be just as certain, and honestly, sometimes even more certain, than people who are remembering real events. Simply feeling sure doesn't mean it's true.
Section 5. Real-world consequences.
Now, this isn't just some fun parlor trick. It has profound impacts on our legal system. Historically, courts have heavily relied on eyewitness testimony. But the reality is that an eyewitness's memory is easily rewritten by a single, poorly worded question from a lawyer or a detective. Contrast that with DNA evidence, which represents objective truth. Frequently, undeniable DNA evidence actually overturns the testimonies of highly confident eyewitnesses. False memories have quite literally sent innocent people to prison, simply because a witness perfectly reconstructed a flawed memory.
If you take away just one single thing from this explainer today, let it be this. Memories are reconstructions, not recordings. Your own memories, the ones you would absolutely bet your life on, are not unchangeable video files. They are rebuilt slightly differently every single time you take them out and look at them. So the next time you feel absolutely certain about a past event, the exact words someone said in a heated argument or the color of a car from years ago, don't ask yourself, did this happen? Instead, try asking yourself this provocative question. How many times have I remembered this? And what small edits might have slipped in unnoticed, one at a time, while my brain was just doing its job? Thanks so much for watching, and keep learning.